Welcome to our LinkedIn Live. My name is Caroline Urrutia. As I said, I'm Retail Strategy Advisor for JM&A Group. I've been with JM&A for 6 years. I'm responsible for retail process and technology research, analysis, and resources. If you're not familiar with who JM&A Group is, we're partnered with nearly 4,000 dealerships nationwide to help drive performance. We're an F&I product provider. We offer in-store and classroom-based training and development, fixed ops consulting, talent services, dealer insurance services, and we have a virtual F&I department. Today, we'll talk about our learnings around virtual F&I in particular, with over 45,000 deals delivered and a team of 15 associates full-time on demand. We're excited to share our knowledge with you. I'll run through some questions with my co-host Mark here to help viewers understand what is virtual F&I, why is it important, what success have we seen, and then what are some of the biggest challenges that come along with virtual F&I and how you overcome those challenges. Mark, without further ado, will you please introduce yourself and we'll jump right in.
Yeah. Thank you, Caroline. And good afternoon, everybody. My name is Mark Galetka. I'm the manager in our virtual F&I department. I've been with JM&A for 10 years, and I was part of the first official virtual F&I deal here back in October 2018. So I get to work with our virtual F&I team and our dealers partners who are signed up on that process every day.
Excellent. Thank you. So start off with a softball question here for anyone who doesn't already know, what is virtual F&I?
It's a good one. It's an easy one. So simply put, virtual F&I is when the customer is in a different location than the person delivering the deal. So the F&I manager, or in our case, the virtual F&I specialist. So maybe that customer is in the dealership and our virtual F&I specialist is remoting into that dealership to transact. Or maybe the customer is an offsite delivery, right? Maybe they're at home, place of work, and somebody's connecting with them in a video setting to present the F&I products, upsells, closes, and things like that.
Excellent. So enables a dealership to be pretty flexible to the customer-centric process. How else does virtual F&I help a dealership?
So when you think about virtual F&I, because we have a queue of people, and I'm talking more specifically on our on-demand team right now, there's going to be no unexpected time off, no unexpected vacation time, and things like that. So your wait time overall is going to go down because you're going to have a larger queue of associates who can deliver those deals. As a result of wait time going down, the performance has an impact as well. So we all know that time kills deals, right? So the less amount of time that we make those customers wait, generally the higher performance you're going to have. In addition to that, virtual F&I, one of the biggest focuses that we have is how do we optimize our deal flow, right? So how do we get more deals funneled through A-player business managers? And there's a lot of stores around the country who maybe it's hard to find an A-player business manager, so we're able to supplement that talent for them and partner with the dealership in that way.
Excellent. So you can offer more coverage. The process can be faster. And we know, as you said, the more time that a customer spends waiting, the less receptive they are to products. And typically CSI scores also decrease the longer that a customer waits. So with virtual F&I, how long does it take for a dealer to send in a deal? And how long does it take? And how long will that deal take?
Yeah, so dealers, once the car deal is closed, the dealer can submit a deal on our portal. So the jmagroup.com login portal, there's a little tab there called Virtual F&I, and they can submit a form to us. It takes less than 30 seconds. And that deal immediately goes into our team's round robin queue. So from there, as soon as we have an available team member to take that deal, the deal's assigned to them. And then the person who submitted the deal will get an email back with a link to join that video call.
Excellent.
So on average, to answer your question, sorry to interrupt you, Caroline, but you asked the question, I didn't really answer it. It's about 6 minutes or less.
Okay. All right. And then the dealer's connected with that virtual F&I specialist to do the deal. So it sounds pretty easy, can happen pretty fast, which might also raise another question. What portion of the deal does the virtual F&I team handle?
Great question. So we get this all the time. And when you think about the scalability of virtual F&I, and we're in about 40 different stores with the on-demand portion of VFI, we have to narrow our focus to make sure that we are focused on, number one, the portion of the deal that dealers care about, right? So the portion of the deal that generates income for the dealer. So that F&I sales portion, that interview, menu, final acceptance. And then, how the rest of the deal gets done is we go in there and we train with the store on the kickoff week. So to make sure that somebody in the store is facilitating the rest of that transaction. So when you think about virtual deals, you think about virtual F&I, there's always going to be some type of human element, physical element involved, whether it be a cash down payment, a check down payment, wedding signatures, things like that. So we work with the store and work with the players in the store to make sure they're comfortable and confident in the process to handle the rest of that deal.
Yes. All right. So the virtual F&I team's handling the best part, right?
And we like to think so.
And so you talked about partnering with those in the store to get anything done that needs to wedding signature, the title registration, other parts of the deal besides that menu, objection handling, final acceptance. How how is that? Who is helping with that in the store? Is that a whole nother person on the team? How does that work?
So it depends store to store. We kind of give stores, hey, here's the outline of the activities that they need to do, and here's kind of the um, assessment of the individual that you'll want, kind of like a job description, right? So we'll give them the entire description. What are some competencies that that person should have? And then we ask the dealership to choose one of their associates in the store. Whether it's a salesperson who's looking to grow in their career, looking for a little bit more opportunity. Maybe it's somebody who's done F&I in the past and doesn't really want to do it anymore, but is all right with helping out on this process. Or maybe it's a sales manager who, we've had stores that the F&I manager wanted to get on the desk, but after we integrated virtual F&I, they're supporting us in that way in the transaction. So it could be any number of associates. It's really up to the dealers to choose the right person in their store, because at the end of the day, they know their people better than we do going into it. So we want to make sure that the right person's chosen.
Yes. All right. So they don't necessarily, the other person facilitating in the store doesn't have to be a business manager, have necessarily finance experience.
Yeah, 100%.
Got it. And that makes sense in the way that really you don't always need your most powerful and talented sales professionals weighed down with more administrative work than necessary. Oftentimes, your best salespeople might struggle with the admin side of things. So, Mark, could you share with us what are some success stories for virtual F&I that you've seen?
Yeah, so like I just mentioned one store that had an F&I manager that wanted to go to the desk, right? So we integrated virtual F&I into that particular store. They've helped us with the other portions of that transaction, and they've seen an overall increase in the PVR. You know, when talking about increases in performance, I can't say that without saying how important the front end process of virtual F&I is. We want to make sure that we're talking about it in a positive, excited way to the customer, giving them the WIFM, giving them the benefit to them, right? So it's just like selling a car or selling F&I products. We want to tell the customer why we're doing this and what benefits them so that they get excited about the process and they think about it in a positive way. So we've seen examples of, hey, turnovers like that are positive, enthusiastic. Hey, this is the best thing ever. And then you have a turnover that, maybe doesn't really happen that often, but does happen sometimes. There's going to be a guy on the screen that's going to try to sell you some products, right? So those are two different customer experiences and generally two different performance results as well.
Yes, absolutely. That turnover, just as it is in store, the turnover from sales to finance, important in virtual F&I. You'd say maybe even more important, right?
100%.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. And then having having a business manager on call constantly, that sounds amazing. It's almost maybe too good to be true. So what are some of the biggest challenges that teams face when they're implementing virtual F&I?
So I wouldn't say it's unique to virtual F&I, because anytime you try to change a process in, whatever you're doing in life with other people involved, there's going to be some kind of resistance, right? Think about the last time you tried to change a process in your dealership. You probably faced some resistance. So before And because of this, before we go in to train with the team, we really focus on the with them for the team there. So if you think about reduced wait times for F&I, maybe it's a salesperson who is a little bit busier than the average and they have sometimes a couple customers there at the same time. For them, obviously, it's going to be a big benefit because they can get their customer in the F&I office a little bit faster so they can get to that next delivery. Or maybe it's some other activities associated with their current delivery that they want to get to so that they can get back on the phones and generate some more business.
Yes, absolutely. So we we all know that the you could have the best technology resources available for your team. If that change isn't managed well, there's no process in place. It really doesn't matter. And so that same thing with implementing virtual F&I, right?
100%.
So shifting gears a little bit, let's discuss some of the most frequently asked questions from dealers. And if anyone wants to post a question here in the chat, please go ahead. We invite you to do that. Um, Mark, we started Virtual F&I formally in 2018. What's the growth? What's the growth we've seen since then?
Yeah, so we started with really two associates, me being one of them, thankfully, in 2018, doing the virtual F&I deliveries. And today we have 15 associates on the team. We're growing constantly. At this time last year, we only had 9 associates in the department. We expect continued growth throughout this year as well. As you mentioned earlier, we have over 45,000 deliveries. So that number is actually deliveries that our team has done, as well as deliveries that dealerships have done in a virtual setting that we've helped train them on. So it's exploded in the last 7 years.
Excellent, and we're still growing, right?
Constantly.
So what dealership systems does the virtual F&I team need access to when they're delivering a deal?
So because of the shrunk down portion of the process, the really focused portion of the process that we are involved in, is just the menu system. So it's a good thing, compliance purposes, make sure we have, a little bit more limited access to customer information, as well as, that narrow focus of driving performance in the store.
Yes. So if the business manager when the business manager only has access to the menu system, how do you handle bank restrictions? If there's a customer with a limited back end in order to present that menu and sell effectively, what do we do?
So we, before every single deal, we'll talk with the person who's been working with the customer in the dealership, whether that be a sales manager, salesperson. We want to learn a little bit more than just the bank restrictions. Of course, that's going to be part of the conversation to make sure that we're not going over our advances, we're structuring the deal properly, presenting the menu properly, um, offering the correct products, right? And then also we want to learn a little bit more about the customer in that time frame as well. So what are their hot buttons? Why is Caroline going from a sports car to a minivan? What happened in her life? Is there some things that maybe we should stay away from? Because in virtual, as you can imagine, we're in a different setting. We're not able to walk over to the customer's desk or salesperson's desk, build a little bit of rapport with the customer, interact with them. So we have to know a little bit more going into the deal so that we can quickly build that rapport with the customer.
Yes, absolutely. Especially with virtual F&I, thinking about this process is condensed. It moves faster, which can be great from a customer perspective and wait time perspective. But how does the business manager, the virtual F&I representative, build rapport quickly with the customer when this time frame is so condensed? You started to talk about here with that 2-minute drill. But can you expand on it? Because it's definitely different, over a screen than it is in person to build that rapport and do it quickly.
Yeah. So, it's funny. I think every one of the members on my team has their own little corny joke that they like to throw out there and get the customer talking. But really, other than that, that being said, we try to pay attention to the customer and kind of, in addition to the information that we're getting from the dealership, we try to read the customer a little bit, right? Maybe they have a New York Yankees baseball cap on. I hope not, but maybe they do. And we can use that as a topic of conversation. So we can also use, hey, what kind of car they're trading in, what kind of car they're purchasing. We want to make sure that we're tailoring the conversation to fit their needs, because with virtual, the customer's a lot more in control of the deal than the traditional in-person process. So We have a little bit more of a consultative approach. We try to involve the customer in our presentations, in our interview, in our menu presentations, asking them small questions to make sure that they are engaged. And then also on these calls, we really ramp up the energy because, as you can imagine, once you're interacting over a video camera, there's a lot of energy that's lost there. So instead of being in person where that energy is just natural, it comes through. So we really ramp that up and interact with them that way. Yeah.
Great. Yes. So thinking along the lines of the customer relationship and the customer experience, what's been your reception from customers of Virtual F&I?
Yeah, it's interesting. When we started this, we thought that we weren't sure, right? So we did a survey on every single customer that we did for about the first 150 customers just to see, hey, where's your head at? Did you like it? Well, how was it compared to your previous experience? And really what we found was interesting because it was more difficult for us to change our process than the customers to adapt to it. And this is more so, even more emphasized after COVID happened because everybody got used to speaking with their loved ones or speaking with their coworkers over a video call and interacting that way. So it's really just the adoption has increased since then. I would say we got lucky starting it before COVID just to get a lot of those initial deals done and get some best practices under our belt so we could train dealers to interact that way.
Yes. Then when it really ramped up, we could do it effectively. Um, would you say it's tough to deliver a deal virtually, harder than in person?
Yeah, I'd say, referencing the prior question, other than getting over that mental hurdle of changing our own process, it's definitely a little bit tougher because, I was talking about earlier about how you can't go over to the salesperson's desk. You can't build that rapport in the beginning, even before they're buying the car, walking by, seeing if they need anything. So you definitely have a lot less time to interact with the customer. And that's one of our disadvantages in the process. So that's why we've incorporated a lot of these things like the 2-minute drill that we were talking about, like the rapport building questions throughout the menu, throughout the interview, peppering in a little bit additional things and then also ramping that energy up to account for those things. So yes, but we train to supplement the deficiencies in our team. And, it's interesting. We have a 2-week training course that we put all of our new associates through. Basically, for 1 week, we just do mock deliveries all week, and we make sure that they're comfortable, they're confident, and they can interact this way.
Excellent. And so, for any business manager or leader out there, what are some quick business manager tips for a successful virtual F&I delivery that anyone might be able to take home with them today?
Yeah, so I think I've kind of referenced it throughout this whole time. The one thing I would say is virtual F&I is a team sport. So whether it be working with the sales department in the store to make sure we're talking about it in a positive way, introducing it with what's in it for the customer, and then also the other tips like, ramping up your energy, being a little bit more enthusiastic about what's going on, engaging the customer more to make sure that they're paying attention to what information you're delivering to them. Also, I would use tools like a whiteboarding feature. A lot of these video tools have whiteboarding features that you can draw out closes in, you can provide more explanation in. JM&A has a lot of interactive sales tools that we use online. So we want to make sure that we're tangibly delivering value, even though we're in that virtual setting.
Yes. Great. So, finally, if anyone wants to learn more about virtual F&I, they can certainly visit our website, jmandagroup.com. We'll have a link here also in the chat that you can submit an inquiry. Mark, what else can they do? How do they get in touch with your smiling face?
Well, you can reach out to me for more information. You could find me on LinkedIn, or I think our information is going to be here at the end of this video. We could schedule a demo. I can give you a little bit more of a deeper dive on kind of what virtual F&I is and maybe some solutions, how it could work for your dealership, and then also walk you through what the process looks like from a customer standpoint. And then I would also encourage you to check out our website, check out our blog. There's a lot of good articles that our marketing team has put together, some case studies as well to show some of the results that we've seen with virtual.
Fantastic. So we're almost at time here. We hope that you all learned something new, and we'd love to hear from you. From anyone listening or watching, please comment or reach out with any questions. Thank you for joining us. It's our pleasure to host, and please stay tuned for more LinkedIn Live sessions coming your way. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.